Opening night. It's opening night.
We can do anything by working with each other. La 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 la.
Okay, so talking about this piece of shit, huh? Oh boy! Hey guys, it's your old pal Dr. Waluigi here again with the last vlog movie review that I'll be doing for this month, because this is the movie that I originally had planned to cover, since I really did not want to review this on my regular show. Mostly because, again, everyone kind of knows about this movie, so I felt like it was a bit too popular for me to talk about. But I still wanted to cover it at some point, so why the hell not cover it in a vlog review, huh? Well, I can think of a few reasons, but, you know, let's not jump the gun here. Tonight's vlog review is on a movie that I don't think needs an introduction at this point. It is a movie that has made many, many fans of cinema cringe in terror at just its name. This is my review of the cult classic, The Garbage Pail Kids movie. So, what can be said about The Garbage Pail Kids movie? Well, not really a lot, actually, because I feel like a lot of people have covered this movie on their own channels and have bashed the shit out of it, to the point that I felt like I couldn't really add anything else to the movie until I did a little bit of research into this. So, for those of you out there that don't know, the Garbage Pail Kids were originally a series of trading cards made by Topps, which was a very popular card making company in the 80s, and I do believe they are still around. I just don't know if they make cards anymore. But the premise of the cards was that they were a parody of the Cabbage Patch Kids dolls just doing gross stuff, because that was kind of the thing that was very, you know, that has been very popular throughout the years. You know, it's like girls got these cute little, well, okay, cute's a bit of a stretch here, but, like, these dolls that were very popular were made for girls, and boys got, like, the gross-out equivalent of them. So when they originally planned to make a movie about these cards, it's very interesting how it started, because the movie did not start out originally planned to be a kids movie. It was actually originally supposed to be a horror film. Yes, I am not joking. This movie was supposed to be a horror film that would have been directed by John Carl Buechler, who many people might not know, but he was like a really big special effects guy in the 80s and the 90s, and he also directed two of my favorite films, one of which was my favorite Friday the 13th movie, which was Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood, of the one with the girl who has psychic powers that fights Jason, for those of you that don't watch that series. And he also directed the original Troll. Now, when I say that, some people might be confused. I'm not talking about the animated movies that came out in the late 2010s. I'm talking about the original Troll movie that got that weird sequel that, you know, had the whole "they're eating her and they're gonna eat me" meme. So he directed those two movies and was the original director brought on to direct the horror film version of this, which would have been basically the Garbage Pail Kids are broken toys that get thrown into a trash can, and they get radioactive sludge thrown on them, and they are then created and go around killing people. That was the original premise for the original horror film script. And honestly, as someone who loves killer doll movies, I would have loved to have seen that. But from what I was able to look up, and I totally could be 100% wrong on this, I just, again, couldn't find a lot of information on it. I believe Topps had a problem with this because, again, you're selling something that's supposed to be made for kids and turning it into an adult-themed thing. You know, it's kind of like with modern day with how, like, Winnie the Pooh, Pinocchio, Peter Pan, and all those other characters are being turned into slasher movie villains. So, the producers ended up having to let John Carl Buechler go, and they replaced him with somebody whose name I forget. It's Roy something. He he was a director, but he's not done anything that I recognize or know of. And basically, that was when they rewrote the script so that it would be made more for kids. However, the movie did not do well. In fact, it only made a little over its budget, which was like $1 million, and then at the box office, it made like 1.6 million, I think. And the movie has now been considered like the worst movie ever made. Which it does deserve it, don't get me wrong, but there are other movies I feel like I've seen that are worse. But I will discuss the main things that are wrong with this piece of shit. Starting with is the obvious, which is the animatronics. The Garbage Pail Kids are basically just little people in costumes, and they have these like really ugly looking like fake heads that are supposed to move when they talk, but the fucking things barely work, and honest to God, they are ugly. And I get that these are characters that are supposed to be like, oh, they're ugly but charming, but these things look horrendous, like to the point that none of them look appealing at all. So here's how they don't function, because with they're animatronic heads, and their lips are supposed to move with the actors talking, but they barely function. Like, you'll get characters that'll basically go like this, and that's it. Like, they do not function. They're like very sporadic. Sometimes their mouths just hang open like this, and at the end of the day, they just look awful. Like, I can't believe that this is what they went with. And according to what I did research on, the director of the movie knew that these things were awful and they didn't work, but he kept them in the movie that way because he thought they would, like, be charming later on, and people would look back on them as cute. But no, they are ugly. They don't work. They are the worst part of the movie. Which, of course, also brings up the fact that, like, the characters of the Garbage Pail Kids are all terrible. Like, the best way to describe them is that they are so ungodly annoying that all they do is screech throughout the movie. That's really what they feel like when you're watching this piece of shit. They're just screaming at the top of their lungs, trying to act like kids, but they're kids that you, honest to God, would want to just scream into the void to tell them to shut up. Ugh, and it's worse because 2 of the characters are voiced by Jim Cummings. Yes, the voice actor who would go on to do Darkwing Duck and Winnie the Pooh and Tigger plays 2 characters in this piece of shit. And he has stated that this is like the worst movie he's ever had to work on. And I don't blame him for just cringing whenever people bring up this movie. But yeah, aside from just the awful acting, the writing for these characters is what really kills it. Because they're written to be gross and annoying, but they're not charming. This isn't like Shrek, where he's gross, but you still like him because he's relatable. He's a relatable character that has feelings. These things their entire character is just based off of the fact of this entire cast of these kids are just, their personalities are based off of them being gross. So you'll have, like, one that has a lot of boogers leaking out of her nose, one who farts a lot, one who vomits, and again, that's just their whole personality, is just they're disgusting, and that's it. Of course, there are some other things that, again, just really do not work about this movie. Like, again, like I said with the writing, a lot of it, you can tell this was originally supposed to be a horror film, because there are moments in the movie where you'd think would not be okay for kids. Specifically, one of the characters named Alligator, who's, again, just an alligator, has an obsession with, like, eating body parts off of people, specifically toes. And you even see in 2 separate scenes that he has, like, a lunch pail, and you open it, he opens it up, and you see that he has, like, fucking body parts in there that he eats. Like, I'm talking, like, eyeballs, fingers, toes. And this was a kid's movie? Like, how did you not think that that was not okay? Kids do not want to see, like, body parts in a kid's movie. That's something you see in a horror film. Again, like what it was supposed to be. Ugh. But anyway, the point is that these Garbage Pail Kids are awful. They are the worst characters that I have ever seen in cinema. But it's not just the Garbage Pail Kids that are terrible, because you also have the other characters, which are just regular humans. There's only really, like, 5 of them that are focused on, and one of them is just a little, again, like a kid named Dodger, which he's pretty bland, all things considered. Like, he wasn't super offensive to me, but I hated how he basically got obsessed with this girl because, of course, he's like 14 years old. He's obsessed with a girl. And it looks like she's like at least 3 to 4 years older than him. Like, he's supposed to be, I think, 14 in this movie. And this girl that he's got the hots for looks like she's 18. But, like, I looked this up. Apparently she was only 15. But she looks older, so I'm not sure how the fuck that works. But, again, the other characters are kind of generic and boring. You have some bullies that he has to deal with, which, again, they all look like they're in their fucking 20s, and they're picking on a 14-year-old kid, which I don't get it. And then you have the mentor figure that Dodger goes to named Mr. Magnificent or whatever. I don't remember his name. I honest to God, want to just block this movie out from my memory that it was that awful. And basically his whole thing is that, like, he's this guy that owns an antique shop, but he has magical items in it, and he's the one who owns the pail that these garbage kids come from. And his whole thing in the movie is just, he's trying to find a spell to put them back in the garbage pail. And meanwhile, Dodger is just hanging out with the kids, and they're making clothes for this girl that he likes to put in a fashion show. Yeah, this is kind of like the writing in this movie is so fucking random that when they eventually get to, like, the song that pops up in this movie, it just literally just like that. It automatically shows up. There's no reason for it. It's just, hey, it's a kids movie, and we need a song for this kids movie. But really, at the end of the day, this movie, like, really, really tried my patience for how stupid and annoying it was. Like, there is a reason this is considered, like, one of the worst movies ever made. But what baffles me, in all honesty, is how this thing became a cult classic. Like, I can understand if it's like, oh, well, there are some movies out there that have gross out humor in it, and they are considered cult classics. Like, I know some people who love the Cat in the Hat movie with Mike Myers. I know some people who do genuinely like the Shrek the Third sequel. In terms of quality, that's how I look at it. But those movies are at least either entertaining or they do have, like, a good message to tell kids. But the Garbage Pail Kids has none of that. It has no good message to tell kids, even a basic one like, be happy with who you are, you know, like, your outside doesn't matter, your inner beauty matters, that kind of thing. It has no message like that. And if it does try to tell that kind of a message, it is told horribly. It literally is just a bunch of really, really bad, gross out humor with a lot of really disturbing imagery connected to these awful animatronics. Like, again, these are just awful. Awful! There's not really much else I can say about the movie other than, like I said, I don't get why people consider this like a cult classic, to the point that this movie has a Blu-ray update. Like, it has a Blu-ray release. I think it was done by Shout Factory. I think Shout Factory was the one who released this on Blu-ray, and I don't get why. Like, why would you bring this piece of garbage back to modern audiences? It is stupid. It is so awful that, like, if I ever saw a copy of this on, like, the shelf of a video, like, in, a video store or whatever, I would just take it and burn the fucking thing. I don't care. I'd pay whatever I have to burn all the copies of this awful movie so I don't have to remember it. Bottom line. Sorry, I know I'm kind of bouncing around with this, but just, there's so much wrong with this movie that I can't, like, put into words how awful this is. But bottom line, this is what I would say about this movie. If you ever come across it, even if you came across it for free on pirating or somebody owns it and you were curious to see it, don't watch it. Just do not watch this piece of shit. This movie is awful. It is an hour and 40 minutes that you will never get back. It will just drain you of your intelligence. It is that fucking stupid. But with that, we come to the end of this vlog. I will see you guys next month with a much better movie for me to talk about, because, hey, next month is going to be the release of Mario Galaxy, and I'm really excited to see that movie. That movie looks so good compared to whatever the fuck this thing was. As always, this is Dr. Waluigi saying, don't judge a book by its cover. Unless it's the Garbage Pail Kids movie, then judge that fucking cover, because holy fuck, that thing looks like a piece of shit. Have a good night, all.